I'm seeing some dispute by some obviously not very well-educated people over my recently viral video on how the LGBTQ for Palestine shutting down this weekend's Pride Parade in Ottawa is ridiculous given the stance of the Gazan Authority on homosexuality in Gaza. To be clear, Gaza currently operates under the British Criminal Ordinance of 1936. That is the law of the land definitively in Gaza, and it is illegal to be a homosexual. It states so clearly in their law that it is a minimum 10-year prison sentence if a man is caught sleeping with another man. I am simply stating the law. There's nothing hateful about it. I'm not being biased. I'm simply stating the facts and the insanity and hypocrisy of these gays for Gaza and LGBTQ for Gaza people, when if they showed up in this country, their sexuality would literally be illegal. And despite the fact that the law says that it's a minimum 10-year prison sentence, in many cases the punishment is much harsher than that. There are horrific stories of, and it's not as though these are one-offs. I've read 15 stories from the past year alone of homosexuals being thrown off buildings. So it sounds as though a 10-year prison sentence is actually getting off quite lightly. And what this points to is the hypocrisy of the left wing. They try to group themselves into all these people who feel as though they're oppressed, they're victims in society, and they need to band together. But the lack of critical thought that goes into something like a group like Gays for Gaza is jaw-dropping, and at some point they need to bump up against reality and realize the group that they believe they're supporting, the group that they believe are oppressed people, hate them. Absolutely hate them, because I can guarantee you that homosexuals that are actually familiar with the way that these people are treated in the West Bank, in Gaza, would never be out shutting down our city streets at marches for a cause for people who hate them. And this is consistent. You see this throughout history with left-wing movements, is they band together these groups, these disparately not even well-attached groups of people who claim to be oppressed, but it doesn't make any sense. And at some point, it has to bang up against reality. And that's what we're seeing in Canada right now. There's this utopian worldview that you can just meld together millions of people from hundreds of countries, disparate cultures. But there's study after study that shows that once a country reaches a certain level of heterogeneity, our culture dissolves, and there's nothing that's banding the people together anymore. And that's exactly what's happening in Canada. With our immigration policies, outside of the obvious that our healthcare system, our housing structures cannot sustain it, and middle and lower class Canadians are consistently being priced out of being able to live what until a decade ago, when Justin Trudeau got in, was considered a very normal middle class life. Our culture is dissipating at a rapid rate. Ask any Canadian who's spent the entirety of their life here, and the transformation in this country is truly shocking. And immigration is the number one factor contributing to it. I don't blame the immigrants. It's a compliment that they want to come here. I blame our government and their insane policies. 8 million people in under a decade, another 800,000 Q1 2025. It's insanity. Ruining a country so that Mark Carney can line the pocketbooks of his buddies at Brookfield is truly treasonous. There's no other way to define what's going on right now. 75% of Canadians say too much immigration, yet they continue to allow people in. And it's this liberal woke worldview that sees all these different cultures come in. No, Western civilization is special. The beliefs that we have in sovereignty, in people's right to free speech, in people's freedom of religion, These are not beliefs that are shared across the world. You woke liberals need to, at some point, wake up to reality. That we are. It's not normal to have the value set that we have in Canada. Most countries, as a matter of fact, are very different than what we have here. And you cannot just import people from all over the world and not expect the country to change. Demographics are destiny. But I really think that this LGBTQ for Palestine movement is really showing holes in the boat of the liberals' worldview, and how little thinking many of them put into their thoughts, because at some point, and we're seeing this with our liberal government right now, you're going to bump your head up to reality, and it's not going to be pretty when it happens. As I said, anybody who's been in Canada for a substantial period of time is well aware of the fact that this country has shifted extremely and in a very poor manner in a very short period of time due to these insane woke policies. And if we don't wake up and turn it around soon, my God, I can only imagine what this country is going to look like if we have another 5 years of this craziness. I'm setting up a rally Saturday, September 13th, Parliament Hill, noon. Take Canada back. I want to get tens of thousands of patriots out there. Same date, same time the UK is doing it, led by Tommy Robinson, because we need Canadian patriots out in the street. I'm sick of seeing only foreign flags in our streets and no Canadian patriots. So message me if you're interested in attending. Also, if you're following me on TikTok, I'm now over 10K followers, and the Canadian media is not a big fan of dissidents. So please make sure that you're following on YouTube, youtube.com/@FightForCanada2025. Please like, subscribe, grab a membership to my channel if you're interested. Pushing the message out here as hard as I can, because we need a radical shift in Canada soon. And I hope people are waking up to the insanity that is these woke liberal policies that will destroy this country if we don't do something soon.